That's much better. Much more subtle.
Stop what you're doing.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I understand.
Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
What? Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Wow. 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 What?
Welcome back. Before I get on another rant, because I will, as everybody who watched through the break on infotainmentwars.com or on fwank.com knows, or on Twitter, I haven't forgotten you guys. I just don't know if you watch for a little bit and then jump over, or if you would please go over and subscribe at infotainmentwars.com. You just type it right in. I bought that URL years ago as a spoof of InfoWars, and I think it's quite cute. I gotta say, I think it works very well and fits our general oeuvre of work, as it were. So infotainmentwars.com, like and subscribe today if you could at the YouTube channel. Give us a lift up, because you have to understand, I got less than 25,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. And last year, this time, I had less than 5. So we're definitely growing. A 400% plus growth in the last year. That's pretty solid. Rudy Giuliani has 116,000 subscribers or something along those lines. And
Did you see the Hot Girls and Boys video chat?
Quit. Don't call attention to the trolls and the people who are... No.
Don't pay attention. How can I not? I've got to go sign up. Hang on.
No, do not. I swear to God, young man. Now I
think it's legit.
Do you? Yeah, give me your credit card.
Do you?
They restart every time. So, let's get to a caller though, because we got about 10 minutes left in the show, and I want to get to them. So, who do we have next, Chicago?
You got David from North Miami Beach.
Excellent. Hey, David, welcome.
Greetings, time changer. That's a movie joke.
Yes, understood.
Yes. Now that Sean Kaminsky is retired as the bionic brain of morning radio,
right, of Steph. Yeah.
Well, I guess
he's only temporarily retired. He's going to look after his mom, who has cancer. People who don't know, Sean works on Steph's show. He's gone to take care of his mom, and he'll be back hopefully. And we wish her health and long life. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Amen. Yashikoa. Yes. Yeah.
Whoops. Lost.
I guess a lot of us are frustrated at fighting the same crime families generation after generation. The Kochs, the Bushes, the Romneys, now the Trumps. But I called because a lot of this coverage, especially NBC, it feels like the SNL 90s sketch imagining Liza Minnelli having a talk show, and she's supposed to talk to Gillian Anderson about X-Files, but she keeps going on and on with Joel Grey about them doing Cabaret.
Right.
That their minds are stuck 20 years in the past with no context. Just like a lot of people don't know the name Iron Eyes Cody, the actor you mentioned. He made an appearance in the 80s sitcom Newhart. They don't understand, the context that there was at least an attempt to fight back the worst of big business.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they came back with a backlash. They enter President Reagan and his.
See, I would say there's a silver lining to what you're talking about, because I'm glad you brought up the line of names that you're talking about. And Romney's probably the closest to being like an old school robber baron, but he did not get elected, and he's been a senator, and his reach, while Bain Capital has done some damage in the AM radio world, hence the lack of Stephanie Miller in an LA station, for example. Ultimately, he has not had the same kind of control right, exactly. He has not had the same kind of control ultimately as the industrial robber barons of the early 20s or whatever. And if your idea, let's say you wanted corporate control of everything, and originally you started with a Rockefeller kind of idea, or any of the main robber barons, that controlled steel mills and newspapers, the Hearsts, whatnot. And you've wheedled all the way down to the Trumps, a family organization with no stockholders and no real holdings, who's massively in debt and failing miserably. He did one term, lost by the largest margin ever in a political race to an outsider, to a challenger. If that's the direction that corporate control, as far as these robber baron crowds are exerting, we're in a better place even now than I thought we were. As bad as he was and is a failure.
True. To get
Luckily,
back to
but yeah.
or as he calls it, beautiful clean coal.
Yes.
I hope that the liberals and the libertarians can reach across and end these carbon subsidies that makes these businesses run, because otherwise, how much of their profit is based on polluting water, killing residents?
It's corporate welfare.
Subsidy.
It's
resource curse.
It's also corporate welfare, because we pay to clean it up. Like I said, if gas costs what gas costs, we wouldn't use it. We subsidize it. The government subsidizes it through taxes. So you pay what you don't pay at the pump, you pay through your taxes. And the same thing is true of coal. You're like, oh, my energy costs are low. No, they're not.
Norman used to call,
right.
What Norman Goldman used to call the $1 million a year test.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, say that again, because you dropped out.
Norman Goldman used to talk about the $1 million a year soldier or contractor guarding the Caspian Sea pipeline near Afghanistan.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it was ever built is secondary, but that's a carbon subsidy. And that's not capitalism. Capitalism assumes we're all at the same board game and we all start with the same amount of cash, give or take. No, it's somebody's sum on the scale. That's not capitalism. Tom Hartman doesn't like when I say that, but that's mercantilism. That's something else. So,
well, it's also, and again, there's a balance to be struck here, in that we decided, again, not to put this off on anybody else and say that some sort of mad capitalist is in charge of this. We made that trade-off as a public, because we recognize the quality of life and like, as much as we talk about like food insecurity in the United States, we used to talk about starvation. That's a shift brought to us by our economy, by resources, by the availability of food, by trucking that brought food all over the globe, especially in the from Canada to Mexico to the United States, back and forth. We played a part in this. We decided we would if somebody has 5 kids, we'd rather not the 5th kid starve to death. We don't want the entire Appalachian region, most of the South, good portions of like the industrial North. We had a runt death issue, like everybody had a litter of kittens, and the smallest one was just going to be sick. We had a Tiny Tim problem in the Industrial Revolution, pre-industrial revolution, where if you had a kid that wasn't going to make it, the family just kind of over time had to deal with, they weren't the one you were going to save. If you had resources, they were going to the kid who could keep the family alive, who could dig trenches, who could be a miner, that kind of stuff. We made that trade. We did, not some magical robber baron. And over time, they acted on that impulse and went, okay, they're willing to go this far. Are they willing to go this far? Are they willing to go this far? And we said yes. And that was the tug and play. Now we have an option we never had. And that's the part they're dealing with. That's the shift that's occurring on the earth right now. And we're in that shift. We really are.
All right. I just hope we could find a way. I mean, even if it means occasionally, propping up the next Solyndra, heaven forbid, if it actually performs a public good, fine. But if it means, reliving the movie The Informant, about how the big food companies were cornering the market and burning their own customers and salesmen. Let's try to avoid that.
Human nature is part of it, and there are going to be barnacles on every whale. You just have to recognize that and not get demoralized because that exists. That's going to happen. Right. So you fix it and you get on with it. We cannot react towards emerging technologies that are going to save us from this the same way that the right wing reacts to Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security by going, there's so much fraud. There's fraud. There's this much fraud. There's the tip of your fingernail worth of fraud. compared to the lives it saves. And so, you know what I mean? We can't go, of course there's fraud in Medicare and Medicaid.
If we're
You deal with it.
lives,
Right.
Right. If we're saving lives, great. But if we're just, fattening Swiss bank accounts, then I'd have to scratch my head.
Well, and I also got
we'll get it right this time.
I appreciate that. What I'm saying is that you're going to do both at the same time. That's sort of the price of doing business in life, because if you're talking about limited food and you go, how are we going to grow food? And then, if we've got droughts and all this other stuff, I'll tell you how you're going to do it. You're going to do it in reclaimed high rises in major cities with hydroponic lamps and infused soil. And you're going to have, a big tower in the middle of Chicago that used to be an office building that nobody goes to because they can work from home because of computers now, that's now got cornfields in it. And that's what's going to happen in Detroit. It's going to happen in Los Angeles, and it's going to happen in it's going to happen in the cities that have been broken by the industrial shifts. And it's going to be done by the cities that are advanced in their search for climate renewal. That's where it's going to happen. And that's how.
Remember
Yes,
that when you're buying 666 Fifth Avenue.
I
Yes.
will. I absolutely think. Yes, the top 10 floors are farming. I completely agree. And legalize hemp everywhere. That's. I think we can all agree on that, because that's where the future of plastics is going to come from. And you can grow. It grows everywhere. It's called weed for a reason, and you can't get rid of it. And it's resilient and will grow on a hillside with nearly no water. It's very tough, and you can make plastics and paper and all kinds of stuff. The Constitution of the United States, written on hemp paper, folks. I mean, that should teach us a little bit of a lesson. I think, thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. We've only got a couple of seconds left. Yeah, absolutely. And in the show. And I know the rest of your day is probably going to be seeing on the news replays of the towers being hit and remembrances and the like. And there's a value in watching those things. I don't envy you the sorrow that you will feel in watching those, but I do want you to feel a renewed sense of drive and optimism towards a more renewable future and an abundant future. We'll see you guys.